Welcome to the Classy Ring Attire podcast. I'm Joel.
I'm Chris.
And it's time to get classy with...
Jonah!
This is...
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Not too bad.
Doing good, yeah.
We're really excited to have you on.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to be on, definitely. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Anytime. It's been a long time coming, really. For those that don't know, Jonah is one of our fellow bloggers on Inside Pulse Wrestling, and really one of the first guys that we kind of met on there.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Jonah, just right off the bat.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Okay, so you went to UNC Greensboro, correct?
I did, yeah.
When did you graduate?
2008? Jesus, has it been that long? Oh, yeah, I guess 2008.
So we technically were there at the same time.
Yeah.
When were you? In the same department.
Did you guys start?
I started in 07.
I started in 06. And we were both in media studies pretty much from the beginning.
Were you guys still going to the McKeever building? Like, you know, when they had all that construction going on?
Yeah.
At the Brown?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. We were all there at the same time. And of course,
Amazing.
we didn't actually meet until we were all writing for the same website, like, after we all graduated.
I'm guessing, did you guys have Donaldson?
Yeah, we had Donaldson for so much.
Did he name drop like usually? Like, oh, I went to that '70s show and
Yep.
met Ashton Kutcher.
That's a good Donaldson. No, he gave us the whole same speech.
Yeah, we got that.
All the
I'm sure you saw the exact same movies in Jellicorse's class.
Oh, yeah,
because
Jellicorse.
he had that class perfected to his liking.
Right down to the minute, like,
Yeah.
everything was so planned out.
Really?
Yeah.
Ironically, he taught my sitcom class, and everything, like, his classes were as formulaic as a sitcom. So it was very episodic.
Wow.
I guess that was his goal.
That was kind of his thing, yeah. He wanted to be really well planned out. Fair enough.
Oh, man.
So wrestling!
I know. I was about to tell the Jellicore story, and I was like, well, this won't be relevant to anybody listening.
This one time in Jellicore's classes when we were watching wrestling, Joel.
Classy Ring Attire. Just UNCG nostalgia this entire hour.
Pretty much.
All right.
So, I guess we should just get right into it.
Yeah, I have nothing to say about Raw this week.
I can barely remember what happened on Raw, to be honest with you.
Okay.
It was last night.
Honestly, I'm hesitant to mention this because, it's a little bit of WWE branching out, and this will put them right back in their shell. But the most memorable thing about that entire episode was a Sting highlight reel. I was like, oh wow, they're showing Sting and talking good about him.
I know, it was very, it just seemed like a WWE sympathizes with TNA hour at some point, because that's all they were showcasing was just former WWE stars who are on TNA right now.
Yeah.
It was very odd.
Yeah, I don't know, just something seems sacrilegious to see Sting in any form on WWE programming. You know? As much as we really want to see it still.
Maybe they're teasing a Main Event Mafia return on WWE. On TNA.
It's like, that's clearly the plan.
They'll jump. Yeah, they'll go back and forth.
I mean, yeah. I was like, was this week an anniversary of any kind of the debut of the belts or anything? Because...
Yeah, they were doing this big showcase of all the former champions. Unless they were really, really trying to, hype the Cena and Del Rio match, which no one cared about.
We get champion versus champion matches all the time.
Oh, yeah. But...
I honestly think it's just a way for them to fill the 3-hour gap. I mean, obviously, like you guys had mentioned, it was a very unmemorable Raw.
Yeah.
And, in order to fill the gap, they kind of needed something to make it a little bit epic and a little bit it's important because of the main event. It's a champion versus championship match. And this is why we're going to show you several, the history of each titles.
Mm.
Yeah, the last time we had a champion match, it was CM Punk and Daniel Bryan. So...
Oh, my God. In comparison to what we saw this week.
Yeah.
And I remember that because it seemed like they had them redo that match every week, and I didn't care.
Yeah. But
oh dear Lord.
Yeah. I'm literally racking my brain to think if I have any I don't even have bad commentary.
No,
Yeah.
it was fine. I think, the past 2 weeks of Raw were so uncharacteristically good,
Yeah.
And then, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So,
Yeah.
I can't rail on them too much. A little bit too much Sheamus for my taste, and I'm sure Joel absolutely agrees. Seeing as Joel's gone in this big...
Joel somehow is now leading the charge.
No, in all honesty, when it comes to like these mediocre Raw showcases, the highlight of and this is not me necessarily promoting Inside Pulse, although I will promote Inside Pulse. Go everyone,
Go for it.
InsidePulse.com.
Absolutely.
But the highlight of any of these mediocre Raws, which is a good majority of them, is reading Justin C's recaps. Our esteemed Justin, I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name.
Justin C. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah. JC's, look at that. JC's a recap because they're so stereotypically smart, cynical
Yeah.
that, I mean, and this is not a knock on him. I mean, I enjoy reading his recaps, but like, he's a good representation, I believe, of like the smart community because we're just like, at this point, most of the smarks that I know are just so cynical about everything that his recap, he gave it like a 2 out of 10 this week, and I didn't think it was that bad. I just didn't think it was that memorable, at all.
No, absolutely. And I think a lot of it is, just coming on the heels of really good Raws that it just kind of makes it seem that much worse. Even though it really wasn't all that bad if you just take it on its own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I
mean, Daniel Bryan had a good promo. I think it was his first time trying to work the crowd.
Yeah.
In a long time, which was actually kind of nice to see because this is odd. And I got this from Justin C's recap and a lot of other people's columns too. People now, a lot of columnists and just a lot of fans are complaining about definitive heels and faces. And I remember about a year ago, people were complaining about the lack of tweeners and the lack, it's. I guess you can't always get what you want or whatever, but. I think it's amazing what they're doing with their characters. Let me rephrase that. It's not amazing, but it's a progressive step that they're taking with their characters. The fact that they're kind of just letting them be their own characters without kind of characterizing them as straight baby faces and straight heels. Besides John Cena, of course.
Right.
But
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, while you were saying that, I pretty much counted off at least 3 names off the top of my head of guys who really they're not necessarily defined by face or heel right now, and that's pretty much like Randy Orton right now. Daniel Bryan's kind of leaning more towards face these days.
Yeah.
And Dolph Ziggler kind of seems like in that gray zone.
Well, we mentioned last week, Dolph Ziggler didn't come out with AJ and Big E this time.
Yeah.
So is he going to start distancing himself because
AJ's getting all this heat from the
AJ is still very heely, and she has Big E as her heavy, and so if Ziggler's a face now, can he not associate with them?
well, he doesn't need to.
He doesn't need to.
absolutely.
I mean, besides the fact that as a family unit, they're charming.
Right.
Of course.
And so, but like no.
Big E, the adopted ethnic child.
Oh
in the middle
no,
of
it's
that.
the WWE's version of The Blind Side. It's amazing.
I never even thought of that.
No, it's totally The Blind
When did
Side.
you come to that conclusion?
That is a perfect
Like a
analogy.
month ago.
Why didn't you say something?
I thought everybody knew this.
Joel, you have to actually say these things out loud. This is why we have a Twitter handle.
I thought this was very apparent to everybody, and they just made The Blind Side.
That's actually a perfect comparison. So you're saying Ziggler is Tim McGraw? in
Oh,
this,
absolutely.
Particular scenario. But no, I mean, like they can still Ziggler can stay like face tweenish, and AJ can stay the heel that she is. It can kind of be like what Triple H and Chyna were doing back in the late. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm pulling this storyline out. But when Triple H was obviously the most hated heel in the company, and Chyna was fighting Jeff Jarrett, and she was doing the whole feminist thing, and people were backing her, but then she still came out and helped Triple H kind of win by cheating. So they can definitely do that. I mean, AJ still has her fans, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean,
I had. Go ahead. Sorry.
I think they should do that. I think that's a very good thing to do because every time the locker room empties, it's actually just half the locker room. It's whoever's totally face or whoever's totally heel, depending on what's going on in the ring at the moment.
Right.
So, to, be able to say that, oh, these two are not automatically best friends or sworn enemies just because of a face and heel line in the sand, I think it'd be a good thing.
No, yeah, me too. And that way, if there's more and more guys like that, then that means we get more different combinations of matches as feuds,
Yes.
die out and new ones come up. Like you get a new combination of guys, and you don't get the same 4-6 guys facing off each other, just kind of rotating between themselves.
Yeah.
So
I completely agree, and I think that's where like the superstars that are actually establishing themselves for the long haul are taking that route. They're taking the route of, I'm not really here to win anybody over or make bitter enemies. I'm here to, be successful, and, this is who I am. Ziggler is an example. Bryan is an example. And the cookie-cutter face and heels are, they're falling by the wayside. I mean, look at, Joel, your favorite wrestler on the roster right now, Sheamus. He's definitely a cookie-cutter face. And he's like, nobody gives a crap about him now. And it's funny. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, nobody really does. And like, it's also funny. And I'm very sad to say this because I really, really like this guy. But Del Rio is following that route now too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He I was intrigued whenever he did turn face. Was it December-ish?
Yeah.
It was something different for him because obviously, his heel work just didn't really seem to click at all, and he became face, and it was all right. It was something different, and then just all of a sudden, just turned right back heel, and he's basically right back where he was. And I don't know, but yeah, like I like him in the ring. It's just his character it's not
stale.
Yeah.
Well, he had to struggle to get boos. And not in a, like, we wanted to cheer him way, but to actually get real, genuine
interest?
Heat on the guy. Yeah. And so, I say Ricardo drug him into face territory.
Yeah.
Just because, we became so enamored with Ricardo and we didn't hate Del Rio enough.
I said this on Twitter, and I firmly stand by it. I think what Del Rio needs to do is somehow use some sort of, like, something from The Little Mermaid and steal Vicky Guerrero's voice and use that as his own, because her voice is enough to get a ton of heat just on that on itself. Because Vicky Guerrero isn't necessarily a heel right now, and she hasn't been for the past few months. She's just been, the authority figure, and she'll come out, and there's been times where she'll very much like a kind of like a Teddy Long, face type authority figure, make matches that everyone cheers for, and then the very next time you see her, she goes, "Excuse me," and everyone just boos her out of the building.
Yeah.
So I think Del Rio with Vicky Guerrero's voice would be an amazing heel.
We're just gonna, pick and choose our favorite parts of people.
Yes.
So it's like, Del Rio's in ring with Vicky's voice and Vince's walk and put on,
Mark Henry's promo skills.
It sounds like Hispanic Goldust. Excuse me.
Fair enough.
I mean, hey, I would pay to see that, by all means.
Oh, yeah.
Well, here's the thing. It was announced today that Ricardo has been suspended for 30 days.
Wellness policy
violation.
Yeah.
So, what do you think that means for Del Rio?
It probably would help him a little bit more to steer fully into the heel aspect, because like you said, back in his original heel run, Ricardo was kind of forcing him face because everyone liked Ricardo. So, by that aspect, this should solidify his heelness, so to speak.
Yeah.
I'm just a little worried that they're going to base his heel turn, which, obviously he's in that right now, on some type of nationalism. And, look, I love America, particularly this week, born and raised and whatnot, but
yeah.
I can't stand it when a crowd full of people start chanting USA in a wrestling ring.
Yeah.
It just, I mean, unless it's Hacksaw Jim Duggan, I don't want to hear it.
Absolutely. It's
Or Sergeant Slaughter.
or Sergeant Slaughter, sure.
Or Sergeant Slaughter, yes.
Yeah.
Well, he's Iranian, but, you know.
Did he ever, like, renounce that?
I don't remember.
I don't... I don't remember how that story ended.
I think it ended in a dual citizenship. And maybe a deportation. I mean, I'm not sure. Well, you know, he's back in the States now, isn't he?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how K-Fab runs with his storyline.
It runs wild. That's where it runs.
So let me ask you guys this.
Okay.
Since we're going, since Raw in general was kind of boring.
Okay.
You know, I hope I haven't offended any fans by saying that, or any big fans of Raw.
You never know.
But,
Yeah, as we learn.
you know, hi Wombat, how you doing? Let's go down this route.
Okay.
What do you guys think of the Primetime Players versus Punk and Axel match? The match itself.
I thought it was interesting. I mean, it gives the Primetime Players something to do, and they're just not recovering from the AW situation from last year. So, I mean, I like Primetime Players, specifically Titus. So I was okay with seeing the match, and the match itself was good. It told a nice story with, you know, Punk not trusting Axel, and Axel kind of weaseling his way in for the win. It was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think I reflexively hate Darren Young due to, like, his time in the Nexus and being a
How horrible that was.
weak link to point out there. Yeah. But he's genuinely improved, you know?
Yeah.
So
And I'm just glad he worked out his hair.
Yeah.
You know, because that Nexus hair was just really bad.
Yeah.
I missed that, actually. If he dyed it blonde, he would have pulled like a Dragon Ball Z look off. That would have been it would have been fantastic.
That would be.
I mean, come on, anime fans and wrestling fans generally tend to coincide.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make everyone happy.
Yeah. But, you know, I'm getting to the point, like, I'm begrudgingly admitting, oh yeah, Darren Young has definitely improved. And it helps that he wrestled CM Punk, who could, you know, wrestle Triple H's broom and make it look like it was going to win its points.
Yeah, that's true. That broom probably gets a good workout.
So legendary.
Well, what do you guys think that particular storyline with Punk, Heyman, Axel, Lesnar, etc. Do you think it's moving at a decent pace? Do you think it's moving too slow? Or
Considering that it's probably going to come in ahead at SummerSlam, I think it's moving along fine because basically they've got to kill time until Brock Lesnar can come back, while also still dealing with everything at Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
So I think it's moving along pretty well. I'm usually all for the slow build.
Yeah. I mean, this is a dream for Curtis Axel right now to like be managed by Paul Heyman and wrestle Punk, which he will obviously be doing
At some point
sooner
soon,
than later. So that's, you know, there's not many better ways to debut
A character,
today's WWE landscape. So yeah, I think it's fine, especially if we're aiming for a SummerSlam match with Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
If we're not, you know.
This is all for nothing.
Yeah. If that's gonna happen, like,
I mean, if we're
Survivor Series or, you know, please not Mania, no. But
well, unless the McMahons are feeling nostalgic for a Russo era, I don't think that we're going to get anything but a Punk Lesnar match.
Yeah.
I can't imagine them doing anything else, especially now that Punk's in the ladder match in the next pay-per-view.
Yeah. And I'm assuming that there's going to be some sort of involvement that, you know, will make Punk lose the Money in the Bank match.
oh yeah,
I mean, I think we all see that one pretty much coming.
Definitely.
So.
I completely agree.
Well,
Here's I'll go ahead.
I was going to say, well, here's the question, and as for the question of the week thingamajiggy, who's your pick for most likely Money in the Bank winner, Dark Horse winner, and No Chance winner? So,
Dark Horse, I don't know. I know My favorite to win is kind of between, I think, Dana Bryan and Randy Orton.
Yeah.
It's something about the way they're building those guys.
And that's a most likely to win, not personal preference to win.
No, if it was personal preference, it would be Dana Bryan just on its own, no question. Dark Horse, I'm not exactly sure. Dark Horse, maybe Christian or Kane, really.
Okay.
What was the last one? No Chance?
Yeah.
I'm hoping No Chance is Sheamus.
Yeah.
I'm hoping so hard that Sheamus doesn't have a chance to win this.
What about you?
I don't think that it's a question. I think Orton's going to win it.
Yeah?
Because I can guarantee you, I can kind of map out SummerSlam for you. Obviously, if it doesn't go this way, I'm going to deny this completely. But
Of course.
I'm thinking Randy Orton's going to win, and I think Randy Orton's going to win by taking it, like, Bryan's probably going to be within grasp, and then Orton's going to take it from him. He's going to hold the briefcase. There will be something that'll make Bryan the number one contender for the title on his way to SummerSlam. He'll beat Cena somehow because they are pushing him to win the title.
Yeah.
And then Orton's going to cash in on him and then finally get that heel turn that he and probably a lot of his fans have been hoping for since, 2 years ago?
Basically, yeah.
And that'll actually be a really good feud to build Bryan.
Right.
Yeah.
The only bad side effect to that would be there would probably be an eventual feud between Cena and Orton again, with Orton as heel.
Yeah.
Remember that year and a half?
Was it?
And then the year and a half after that?
Yeah. There was 2 really long runs.
Well, it was a year and a half for that, and then, Triple H came in and started making it a 3 rotation.
Yeah.
Well, here's my question for you then. Do you think the fact that Randy Orton has 2 wellness strikes against him might make them hesitant to put their number 1 title on him again?
Yeah, I'm sure there is. I mean, I'm sure. It's going to be either Orton or Bryan. I just think that there's a 90% chance for Orton to win it over Bryan. Now, obviously, like you, Joel, and like you, Chris, I would want nothing but Bryan to win this. I mean, that's a no-brainer as a fan favorite to win the thing. But Orton, I think he has enough history with the company, even with the 2 wellness strikes against him.
Mm.
I mean, this isn't Jeff Hardy. This is definitely a guy who they've put the belt on, let him carry the company for at least a little bit. Even as a heel, they let him carry the company for at least a year or so. Triple H is big on him, obviously. I think they have enough faith for him to hold the title for a month.
Yeah. I mean, my thoughts are enough time has passed since the last violation.
Yeah.
And from what I hear, it's kind of seen more like a fluke thing anyway. So, I mean, I think they've had him in the doghouse long enough, and they're ready to really, let him out of his cage.
I'd be okay with that. I think I'd like Randy Orton again if he had something to do. That's kind of been my biggest complaint about him.
Because we've always loved Randy Orton in the ring. He makes it look so easy, and then knowing what he's capable of, and then you start seeing him on Raws where he obviously, his body language is saying, I don't care about this match, and I don't know why I'm out here kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
So,
definitely.
Yeah, I think once you get him involved and invested in something, we'll see a lot better things from him.
Yeah. Do you have Dark Horse, No Chance, people?
Dark Horse is Sheamus. I don't want him to win, but I think that the company has enough faith in the guy that he's been champion once. He's what the company wants, even though the fans don't want anything to do with him anymore. Except for you, Joel. Of course, I know he's definitely.
Let me get my.
No Chance. Probably RVD. I can't see him
Really?
winning this at all. How about you, Joel?
RVD was my Dark Horse pick. I'm assuming, because I don't think he's going to win, he's there to do the amazing spot that Kofi can't fill in this time around. But I could believe that they have a story planned out where he will come in, get the thing, cash in right away, and they have this whole, basically till SummerSlam story already planned out for RVD to bring him back in a big way.
Yeah.
My no chance thing, probably Punk.
Just because Brock is looming.
I know Brock is looming. I know Punk can go fine and dandy without this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely.
So, and then most likely is the Randy Orton Daniel Bryan combo. I would give it to Daniel Bryan just because I'm assuming that this match will close out the show and a nice
I wouldn't
image.
be so sure about that.
Cena and Mark Henry.
It could be Cena and Henry.
It is Cena.
I honestly would not be as upset
Yeah, because we're actually liking what Mark Henry's
because Mark
doing
Henry's
right
doing
now.
so good. Yeah, it's not Cena and Laurinaitis. So, and it is for the championship, and so
That's true.
A championship match should technically be more important than fighting for an opportunity to get a championship match. So I would be okay with that. But Daniel Bryan straddling the top of the ladder, holding the briefcase, doing a yes thing.
Or holding it up like Cena last year, giving him the weird face.
The surprise face?
I love that face.
Although I could see the exact same thing, except, superimpose Rob Van Dam, and he does the I have thumbs move instead of the I yes move.
My favorite image from Raw this past week was a very, very, very large man. They were talking about RVD, and he stood up and, very lazily only had one arm doing the RVD thing. I was like, wow.
I think I saw that.
Congratulations for that guy for getting that much energy.
I think as soon as that happened, I grabbed on my gym shorts and just went for a run.
I shall never be like that guy.
It's like, I don't even like him anymore.
He's like, yeah.
It's just reflex. The RVD thumb.
I will say, I don't know how much this says about us because I'm just excited to see Daniel Bryan straddle a ladder and make a weird face as any fan. So, yay for bearded men straddling ladders and making weird faces.
I mean, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I pretty much made a life out of it.
I
So am I.
See?
I have the Facebook fan page. Bearded men straddling ladders making faces.
Oh.
That has to already exist.
I hope that doesn't exist.
So what now? How are you guys liking the potential match of the night at the pay-per-view? Ryback versus Chris Jericho.
I forgot that was happening. To be honest with you.
That was straight sarcasm. I mean, have you guys been following that storyline at all? In all honesty, I didn't even know they had a match.
It
until...
was.
Were they in a tiff on Tout or something that I wasn't aware of?
No, apparently one was in Vicky's office on last week's Raw, and the other one walked in, and they just got angry at each other, and the match got booked. I'm not kidding.
The match was birthed at that moment.
Birthed out of them, giving angry faces in Vicky's office. And, yeah.
Good Lord, what has happened to Chris Jericho? I mean, during this run.
Yeah, this run, it just, something doesn't seem to be clicking with him. The match with him and Punk was good enough, but like I said, it didn't seem like the usual caliber, especially on Jericho's end.
No, not at all. Not at all.
My theory, I was going to state this as fact, but this is fact, because the factual reason,
Be bold.
is that Jericho is not there to win. He's just not. He's there as a, make other guys look good, pass the torch kind of capacity. He's basically doing what Ric Flair does when Ric Flair shows up, except he can still go in the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If Chris Jericho came back in a manner that was genuinely looking to be Chris Jericho, be the Chris Jericho of old, I still believe the guy's got it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He's a little bit older, but a year older than he was when he was doing championship matches with Punk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's
At WrestleMania.
he's fantastic in the ring. He's great on mic. There's no reason he should have lost any of that. But he's...
Well, he hasn't necessarily been... Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but like he hasn't necessarily been like great on the mic as of late. I don't know if that's because of him or because of who he's booked to wrestle or feud with, but I mean, they've been lackluster.
I think a lot of it is and you see this with a lot of wrestlers. Whenever they're a face, they're kind of limited on what they really can say on mic. And I mean, we saw that a little bit with Punk. Whenever he was a face on mic, his promos weren't as invigorating to watch as some of the other ones have been. So I think that might have something to do with that. Like, he's trying to be more of the jokey type face, which is the one thing we pretty much all hate about Cena.
Yeah.
So maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. Because his heel promos are just golden.
Oh, yeah.
So that might be what it is, because this entire run this year has been nothing but face.
Yeah. And I think in the back of his head, he knows that whoever he's talking about, he's supposed to be making them look good. And so,
No, that's true.
To cut them down, even in character, you can only do so much of. And
So, does that explain the really awkward segment whenever Braddock's interrupted the highlight reel that one time? And they were just all awkwardly just talking to each other, but
Yeah.
Braddock's was just not sure of words.
I'm assuming because there was
Jericho wanted Braddock's to look good, but Braddock's had it in his mind that Jericho was supposed to look good, so they both look like idiots.
Well, I think because they were talking about he said get that whatever out of the ring. I think Braddock's had his script and was scared to go off script because he is not in a position in the company where he can go off script yet.
I don't know.
Well,
His ad-libs seem to be pretty funny.
Maybe he's just a brilliant actor. Maybe he's supposed to. Maybe they're scripted ad-libs.
Oh, wow.
So
I don't know, Maddox is hit or miss. Like, sometimes he's like the highlight of the segment, and then other times it's just he completely trails off, and you could see he has potential. I mean, the dude definitely has an it factor. I won't say the it factor.
Yeah.
But
He has one of them.
yeah. So, with that being said, what other feuds are coming out of this pay-per-view? The Miz and Curtis Axel.
Which they didn't touch on at all at Raw this week because Curtis Axel was busy with
Punk.
With Punk and Miz.
Miz fought Ryback. Miz beat Ryback.
Well, yeah, he got DQ'd or
No,
Ryback forfeited. Yeah, that's right.
Ryback forfeited. So good for the Miz.
And no couches were harmed.
And no couches were harmed.
That's good.
I'm not gonna lie, and this is gonna rub Blair the wrong way, I'm sure, but
Everything does.
well, that's true. But I'm still a Miz mark.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I have been for. I mean, I think he's caught in the same thing that Randy Orton is caught in. Now, that is basically that his booking hasn't necessarily been good, but he hasn't cared enough about where he's been booked to actually take advantage of anything. Like, when Punk was being booked horribly, he was still amazing because he made the most out of his situation.
Right.
Whereas Miz and Orton, you could tell, like, if they're not being booked the way they want to be, they kind of don't. They bring their C game to the ring and the mic. And I still think the Miz has the potential to be, like, one of the best talkers and an okay wrestler, like kind of like a poor man's Rock. I still think he has that potential. I just don't think I don't know if he's going to get that chance to do it, and I don't know if he cares enough to take advantage of it.
Well, see, the thing, like, the reason I always liked The Miz, and not so much I thought he could be a top guy, but I wanted him to be a top guy, was because The Miz, I feel like everybody, our age-ish, who watches wrestling, at some point clearly watched it as a kid and was like, I want to be a wrestler. I want to be WWE champion. And then went, oh, but potato chips and ice cream. And no, I'll just play Bring in Pain. That's fine. That's close enough.
Play video games. It's okay. Yeah.
And Miz didn't.
Right.
Miz was me, except he did push-ups. And
he actually pursued it, yeah.
Yeah.
And he was on The Real World, of course.
I mean, so I want to live vicariously through Miz.
Yeah, I mean, I was skeptical about Miz, but then we saw once he got the belt, and I was whenever he won that Money in the Bank, I was still okay with it. I was like, okay, well maybe we could finally really see what Miz is made of, and his run with the belt after he did the whole thing with Randy, I was kind of okay with it. The biggest thing that came out of that was Miz Girl.
Miz Girl, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he had a short thing with Lawler, and that went over really well.
That was stunningly good.
That kind of what
It was really, really good.
it put me over on Miz, really. And, improved Lawler still absolutely could go.
Yeah.
And then whenever we were aiming towards WrestleMania, I thought Miz handled Cena incredibly well, and not only that, but he also handled, Cena and Rock kind of pushing him out the way,
Yeah.
by their own promos. But Miz, like I've said before, he kind of enforced himself into their own little feud and made himself to be a worthy opponent.
Yeah. I mean, he made himself relevant in a feud that was, of giants of the industry.
Right.
That's true. I mean, he showed that he could hang with them.
Right.
Like, I think a lot of the promos that Miz cut on The Rock during that whole, what was it, WrestleMania 27?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. A lot of the promos that he cut on The Rock were really, really good.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't see that now, and I think he's also another product of this whole, if you're face, you have to be a complete face. If you're a heel, you have to be a complete heel. And, he's still kind of... He's still fitting that mold, and I don't know why they're not just letting him be him. Like, if he just came out and just started breaking kind of... Like breaking people's legs with a figure 4 leg lock. Well, if he could master the thing.
2 more months, he's got this. Give him time, I can see it.
2, maybe 3. No, I mean, but if he just started doing that, people would be really, really high on him.
Yeah.
It's another reason why, and this is, I know I'm going to sound really, really redundant saying this, but I think the wrestler that had the best potential out of anyone in the past 10 years, besides Bryan and Punk, MVP. How he did not capitalize on people really being high on him.
Yeah.
Even Triple H was high on him, which is really, really rare. Being somewhat of a tanner complexion, and Triple H being high on you is kind of, or any McMahon being high on you is kind of.
It's rare.
It's very rare.
Yeah.
So MVP being getting that opportunity, and then they're just well, just be tan Cena, and it just completely ruined it. And I think the Miz is a byproduct of that as well. And I think of course Orton and whatnot or not Orton, Sheamus and Del Rio are byproducts of that particular runoff as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Just be the cookie cutter face or heel, whatever your scenario is. Yeah, absolutely. They did. I did want to touch on this. But they did announce what the other Money in the Bank match was going to be. One for the World Heavyweight. Now, I did want to touch on this though. The Raw, the WWE Championship Money in the Bank is now called the All Star Money in the Bank match.
Oh wow!
Yeah, KA the one that matters,
and it's nothing but faces.
Yeah.
Also,
what a way to bury.
And then we have the World Heavyweight Championship one, which is nothing but heels.
Yeah.
That will be interesting, though.
Yeah, I'm obviously that's the one where you really want to see because there's a bunch of guys who are so hungry for it. Now, I think it's funny that Jack Swagger is in. He's not in the All Star one. That kind of shows you exactly how far he's fallen since last time he was the heavyweight champion.
Is he in the SmackDown one?
Yeah, he's in the World Heavyweight one.
I thought he died. Oh my god! I can't believe he's...
Yeah, he came back this week.
Yeah.
To just be in Cesaro's corner.
Huh.
Yeah, he's in it. Cesaro's in it. Sandow, Cody, a lot of tag team partners.
Yeah. Which
can't
I'm
remember.
sure they'll kind of highlight there with
Yeah.
help me, help you. We're going to get a lot of breakups.
Well,
Yeah.
There goes Cesaro's push.
Well, I don't know. They might, because that's kind of new, Cesaro's involvement with Zeb Coulter, so maybe not necessarily a big breakup there. Maybe Swagger breaks off on his own, which I guess that'd be okay.
Would kill his career.
It would kill his career, but there's not much there to kill. Let's be honest.
That is true.
So, I don't know. It's a big lack of caring. Which, let's be honest, as much as I, spout out dislike for Sheamus, like, at least Sheamus gets me passionate about,
Hating
this.
someone?
Yeah, he gets me passionate about the show, because, which is not good for him personally, is in my eyes, but, I think it's worse for Swagger, which is like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Okay. I would say that Sheamus, if Sheamus were a heel, he'd have successfully gotten my hatred for him.
But he's a face. Speaking of Sheamus, I know that there is a particular thing you wanted to address, Joel, and I'll just let you have the floor.
Okay. So, how long have we been writing for Pulse?
I started in February of 2011, and you were like right after that.
2 weeks after
Yeah.
you. So, yeah, 2 years.
Yes.
2 years, and I've not ever commented on a comment I received before. And mostly that's just because if I had something to say, I'd set it in the column, and then,
You're very much not like me, because I'm very active on
You
comments.
do comment a lot, and I comment on other people's stuff.
You're just not on your own.
I don't comment on my own because I had my chance to say what I'm going to say, and so
Of course.
if I didn't say it right, then that's my fault, and you can hate on me in the comments. That's fine. But I got this comment, and I was entranced by this comment. The guy wrote under Pat. And he's not a frequent commenter, I guess, or he is. And,
I did see him comment on one other thing. I don't remember what it was, though. But
and he did not agree with me,
to say the least.
and that's fine. But it was basically my column was largely dedicated to trying to explain why I hated Sheamus.
I thought you were very eloquent in that, and you made some points in there. Like the one thing I commented on is. You had this is your quote. Sheamus gives the impression that he thinks he'll win because he reads the script, and I feel like that is so. It was the reason that we all hated him right now, but we didn't know why, and I think that's like that just perfectly sums up his entire attitude right now.
Yeah.
So, good job, Joe.
Oh, thank you. So this guy. Well, first of all, the guy says blah blah. In the past, I've always liked your columns in the past, but after
I have the comment up. Would you like me to?
Yes.
Pat? Okay.
Yes.
I'll also censor myself when necessary.
We'll break this down a sentence at a time because I
okay.
genuinely want to comment on this.
Okay. Dude, I have always liked your columns in the past, but after this garbage you wrote, I have lost respect for you as a columnist. He's missing 2 commas. Go ahead.
Okay. And again, I want to say I'm not trying to bag on this guy because I have the unfair advantage of having a column every week and then a podcast every week. I could totally do that, and I don't want to. And if he likes Sheamus, that's totally fine. I kind of feel like though, and Blair's pointed this out, I don't dislike things a lot.
Yeah.
I kind of aim for liking things. I think it's really easy to hate things in wrestling because it gives you a lot to hate.
Like what you were talking about earlier, Jonah, to be the typical cynical Mark,
Mm-hmm. So maybe that's why he's liked me in the past is because I went out of my way to.
But basically now
you're a generally positive guy.
Yeah.
I say good things about John Cena a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's really not very popular.
No, that's where most of the hatred comes from. Is where I'm like, I think John Cena did this good thing in defense of Khali. I think.
So the big review of the first sentence is, I liked you when I agreed with you, but now that I don't agree with you, I hate you as a person.
Well, it's,
That's essentially what he's saying. He's lost respect for you as a columnist.
Yeah, I mean, and if it went on to continue this is why I disagree with it, that's fine.
Right.
Okay,
so let's continue.
Continue on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sheamus has earned his... I don't know if I can say this with a straight face. Sheamus has earned his spot by and his push by busting his
Effing
A, and he is great to watch.
Pause.
Okay, I genuinely have to disagree with this one.
just there's no eloquent way to say that, but you're wrong.
I mean, earning your spot is a thing, and when you put it up against the career of Punk before he was champion, and you put the career of Daniel Bryan before he was champion, and you put the career of Dolph Ziggler before he was champion, and then you compare that to the career of Sheamus before he was champion.
All like 3 months of it, yeah.
Yeah, it was, I think I actually said in the article, it was 6 months. It was like his debut in ECW was in June. He won TLC that December. So 6 months. It takes a certain amount of time to earn your spot. There's no way around it. You cannot earn your spot with a single promo, with a single match. There is a single promo, single match that can make your career and be the thing that solidifies it, but there is just time before that you have to have put in to earn your spot, to genuinely earn your spot and your push. Sheamus didn't do that. And that's okay. There are other people who didn't do that, and are still fine.
Yeah, they've kind of earned it.
Randy Orton, youngest whatever in history.
Youngest heavyweight champion, yeah.
Yeah, and he didn't earn his spot. He has since earned his spot.
Definitely.
Right. Sheamus didn't. I disagree with that statement.
Fair enough.
So, continue on. This one's just angry. Yeah, this is...
I have liked Sheamus ever since he was in ECW, and this has to be sarcastic. He is one of the best on the roster now. He is a smart A, and I love it when he insults others and acts like a heel.
Let's pause there.
Let's pause here. Okay. And again, yeah, if this is a guy being completely sarcastic, then he got me.
Right.
Like,
because it was one of those things where I wasn't sure if I should comment on either, because I couldn't tell if he was being sarcastic or he was being completely genuine.
I honestly, I told Chris before this, like, I thought I was kind of pandering in this article.
Yeah.
Like, hating on Sheamus. I thought I was going to, like...
Isn't that something that we're all doing now? Like, right, guys? Come on.
So, but I'm really genuinely fascinated by the concept that somebody likes Sheamus. That somebody genuinely wants to go to bat for Sheamus. And I would love to hear this guy in a less angry manner, in a less insulting manner, explain to me why he likes Sheamus.
Right. And I mean, and that's what we're looking for. If you're sitting there and you're a regular...
If you're somehow listening to this...
And you're a regular commenter on the Inside Pulse Wrestling comments, we love people that disagree with us.
Yeah.
Like, we really do. But if you're going to do it, then just don't insult the other person. Like, come on, we can have a debate. You don't have to agree with us. We like it when people disagree with us because it starts a conversation. We love conversation. Hence why we have a podcast.
You guys are too nice. All right, I'm going to go ahead and explain this guy to you right now.
Okay.
Sheamus came during an era where people, like right now, people are basically, they don't care about Cena. When he comes on, he's basically 3 levels above, maybe 2 levels above a Divas match. People literally take bathroom breaks at this point during a Cena match.
Yeah.
Like before, like when he first started, people really liked him, and then they really loved to hate him. And now people are just indifferent about him. They're like, I've been seeing this for the past 10 years. I don't really care about this guy. So, but Sheamus came during an age where Cena was really hated. Like 2 or 3 years ago, you know, people just paid money to see Cena get his butt whipped. And Sheamus was one of those people. And he was fairly new, and people were like, basically, how quickly he won the title from Cena, people were so high on that because they were begging for a change. So people got on board the Sheamus bandwagon. Now, those of us who, I was on that too. I wasn't like high on Sheamus necessarily, but I was like, oh wow, a new guy with the title. That's great.
Yeah.
But now we're smart enough to see, what he really was. He was a big guy that was pushed as an unstoppable monster, a la Ryback. But he really had no skill in the ring. And he has no skill on the mic. I can't believe so many people have commented on this column saying that Sheamus has mic skills. What do they sit down and just watch Madea movies all day? I don't understand this. Anyway, but basically people are really, really backing Sheamus right now because he is basically their answer to not cheering for a face, or to cheering for a face who isn't Cena. Like a face big enough who isn't Cena, who is somewhat still relevant, where Randy Orton hasn't won the title in over some time now, where Sheamus has held the title recently.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'd rather Cena be champion than Sheamus.
At this point, yeah.
No, absolutely. And I have, you can easily go back through, all my writings on the internet. I have said great things about Sheamus.
In the past, yeah.
In the past. I've said, I've really been high on the guy at points. I thought he did a good job. I thought he did a really good job being a heel. I even think his initial face turn, where it was literally just like a "give me somebody to fight" kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was a really interesting thing where he was like, he'll fight heels if he has to. He wants to go out and fight. And so I was like, that's a great, interesting character. I would love to see a face do something like that. Not this Sheamus. Now, to be fair, the guy says he's a smart ass, and I love it when he insults each other's. And my thing is, he's a smart ass, and I hate it when he insults each other.
Right.
And so,
basically, the one big character thing that he has right now, this guy loves him for it. That's
love or hate. We're not going to see eye to eye on that. That's delightful. But the only thing I genuinely took offense to in this whole column is the next sentence, which is,
go ahead,
carry on.
All right, so I kind of scrolled down. Oh, there we go. I get so irritated at you columnists who have to write bad stuff directly about a wrestler. I can now say that as a columnist, you are my least favorite. Ooh,
that's fine.
Why you gotta be you columnist?
And that's fine. I can be somebody's least favorite, whatever.
Right.
But I think in the group of us columnists, I kind of hold the flag for let's be nice, you guys.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Glazer, Herrick, and then you, Joe. I mean, as far as being real nice.
Yeah, I'm sitting here Natalia tries hard.
I mean, I don't know. There are a lot of Sheamus backers on a lot of these sites, Inside Pulse being one of them, obviously, and they hold the torch for him, and I think that's one of the reasons why the company still kind of keeps him around and kind of near the top tier.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously, other people comment about this. Most of this hatred is geared toward creative. I'm disliking Sheamus the character, and not necessarily Sheamus the. I don't know what's his real name. But as a human being, I'm sure he's lovely. He does Make-A-Wish stuff, and he is taking the content that they give him. They say go out and break Damian Sandow's computer, and so
he doesn't.
He goes out and breaks Damian Sandow's computer. Yeah, that's fine. My disagreement is with creative booking him to do that. That being said, there is taking a bad character and running with it. There's being and put in a bad situation and still manage to come out on top. And the king of that is Zack Ryder for a while, who was given nothing. I don't know how much of the Long Island ICZ character was his creation and how much of it was this Jersey Shore thing's popular, let's make a wrestler out of that.
Actually, no. The whole Long Island IC thing that he was doing was before.
Was before Jersey Shore?
Before Jersey Shore.
Yeah, that was who he was.
I didn't watch Superstars.
No, me neither. But it's just something interesting that I thought that it all happened around the same time, but he technically did it first.
But the guy, was going nowhere, was, in a bad situation with a character that is, not going to hold a title.
No, not a major title at least.
Yeah, and, did something great with it. To be fair, Cena was that, Cena in his,
that is true.
deep thugonomic stage, that's not going to be a, franchise character, and he kind of let that melt away.
Yeah, he toned it down a little bit.
So there is having bad character and working with it, and Sheamus has not done that. So I'll give it 80% creative faults and then 20% over here.
I'm gonna disagree with a bit of that, and I'm gonna disagree with a good portion of every other columnist and basically everyone who says that this is partly creative's fault. I used to agree with that heavily, guys. I mean, I was definitely, whoever writes this for you, those are the people you got to blame, and you just work with what you have.
Yeah.
But, and I know it's kind of cliche to bring him up, but CM Punk has disproven this. They gave him a horrible shtick. Like, they booked him horribly for a long time.
Yeah.
But he didn't necessarily just make the most of it. He just said F it half the time. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen the documentary,
right? Yeah,
Best in the World and whatnot, where he just took the script and just threw it out, like in front of the writers, and it was risky and whatnot, but that's what you have to do in order for, because the company's not going to make you. Like,
No.
the company is just going to make the company. The company's going to do what it needs to do to make money, but. So you need to basically, instead of doing what the company does, if they give you a bad shtick, if it's in you to be a competent wrestler, sports entertainer, whatever, then you'll do it. You just need to have the fortitude and the drive to do it. You need to break the rules if you need to. And Sheamus, he's just going along with the company. He's one of the majority of the roster. He's just going along with the company. So if his shtick is bad, and the thing is, he has an advantage over the other guys because he's already a top tier talent. Like, he can break it easily. Like, there's really no excuse at this point. I can't, everybody defending Sheamus and everybody, defending Randy Orton. Obviously, Randy Orton has far more potential than Sheamus, but the fact that these guys aren't necessarily where they should be or where they can be. It's their own faults. I mean, there's so you can't blame creative for this long of a time.
Yeah.
I get your point, and I agree with part of it, but at the same time, part of this is just wishing for, a utopia that will never happen, but the best product will come out of everybody trying to make the best product. And they don't do that. Wrestlers, especially in this, mid-card area, are looking out for themselves, making sure that they go over and they get, they're trying to get the most screen time, they're trying to get the most victories for their character, because it's important to them, and I understand that. But at the same time, it should be all these guys coming together to try and create a successful television show. If, Matthew Perry decided, no, I don't want this, I want the show to be called Chandler and Friends, and this, I now need to go over Ross in a, foosball term or whatever that episode was about, blah, blah, blah. But, that's, that makes for a worse TV show, and I think, and there's also a lot of horror stories about Triple H getting too much power, from behind the scenes. And again, all those stories usually come from, jaded and jilted writers who are bitter at the company. And so there's a lot of he said, she said. But I fully believe that, wrestlers looking out for themselves ahead of the company, which I understand, and I'm not saying they shouldn't do that. We live in a world where they should absolutely do that, or else they will be shuffled to the bottom and eventually creative has nothing for them. But I think that, and as appreciative as I am of Punk doing that and being CM Punk, I think that can lead to, and does lead to, a scenario where creative is stuck trying to fight against a lot of people, make a lot of people happy that can't be happy, ultimately answering to a select few, and not being able to tell the long multi-episode storylines, or do any slow builds, or create genuine character development, because John Cena has to go over again. We can't close a show without John Cena winning.
Right.
Of course. I've got to say, though, it's funny that you touched on this. A lot of people are worried about Triple H gaining too much power. I think that would be the best thing that would happen to the company. In all honesty, because ever since Trips has gotten into more of an executive role, as long as he himself is not in the ring, because obviously he has an ego and he will push himself or his feud over a lot of the other feuds. But as long as he is not doing that, generally things tend to go rather. I mean, they tend to, the past 3 years. I think we can all agree have been leaps and bounds better than the 3 years before then.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously WrestleMania season has its ups and downs, and you can pick on that and whatnot. But generally, though, I mean, I don't think we would see Daniel Bryan being pushed this much if McMahon was, or if Vince was in total power. If he was running things without Trips kind of regulating that. I don't think we would have seen Punk even go as far as he did. I think with Trips being in power, and I think he should gain more power, because he is Triple H. He's an arrogant a-hole on occasions, but I mean, on more occasion than not. But he's also a wrestler, so he has more relatability to the rest of the roster, and he knows talent when he sees it, rather than just pushing 300-pound guys.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, first of all, I don't know if worried is the best word, because as long as Vince McMahon can make it in the building, he's going to have the power he's going to have.
Yeah,
that's true.
He's going to have final say.
Yeah. And now with Skype, he could probably be bedridden somewhere else and still, it can be Vince McMahon's call on things. But, and part of it is, I don't know who was the person backstage to throw up their hands and say, give Punk the mic, we'll cut him off if he gets too far. Somebody was the first person to suggest that, and I would like to give them full creative control of everything. But, it was eventually it got passed okayed by enough people to actually happen on air. But there was, and there are other, gems like that. Somebody said, let the yes thing happen. Yeah. There was this, we got to shut it down fast. It wasn't. Somebody said, let it happen.
Yeah. I heard it was Cena's idea. I heard that whole gimmick was Cena's idea, and he just let Bryan in on it.
Huh.
It might have been. I mean, Cena, I'm sure, is a company man for life, and I think that, like Triple H, he has stuff to offer after his in-ring career.
Definitely.
So.
And I mean, I to be honest with you, I see the same thing with Punk. I see him having a lot to offer the company after, after his in-ring career is over, even if it's not anything on camera, if it's just behind the scenes and,
commentary. If he went back to commentary, that would
commentary,
be phenomenal.
there's that. Or if he helped younger talent, pre-build their match before they go out and then review the match afterwards. I think he would be perfect in that role. I'm trying to think of current wrestlers now, or current guys in the back that were wrestlers that do that now. I can't. I'm blanking. Arn Anderson. Arn Anderson does that a lot with guys.
Ricky.
That's true.
Ricky Steamboat.
Steamboat does it. Pat Patterson. All those guys. They have the wrestlers come in and they'll go over exactly what they need to be doing, and then after the match they'll review everything that they just did. And I think that's something that Punk would be amazing at. He's probably already doing it with some
absolutely.
guys.
There's there was a moment in the documentary where it's talking about Punk talking to younger guys, and it was a big deal because he was talking to Dean Ambrose, and this was pre-Shield, so they're like, oh, there he is, that's his debut, it counts.
Speaking of which, is there any doubt that Ambrose is going to win the Money in the Bank match for the SmackDown side? I looked through the roster right now.
It's kind of hard to vote against them right now.
Yeah,
to be honest with you, yeah. Just have Shield hold everything.
Yeah, my one thing is, I want something great for the Shield. Nexus was clearly a great 2-month idea that then became a 7-month idea. That was terrible.
Yeah.
I don't want that for the Shield. And I know that the Shield can't last forever, and I know that they have to break up, they have to have single careers, and people have to turn face and heel and blah, blah. But there, except for the Summer of Punk, I cannot think of a full storyline where I'm like, satisfactory beginning, satisfactory middle, satisfactory end.
Right.
Let me ask you guys this: how would you guys actually be satisfied? What kind of breakup or what kind of ending with the Shield? Because I mean, it is coming, particularly with how over Ambrose is right now. I mean, like I think at Raw, like there were 4 or 5 Ambrose chants going on. It was very vocal. But like, how would you guys like to see that particular chapter being closed?
It depends on how long of a. It depends on how long you keep the Shield around for something like this. I would like to see, because of their original justice, we're here for the justice of, the underdog, and WWE is corrupt and officials and blah, blah, blah. What my dream storyline right now would be, we have the thing with Vince and Triple H and Stephanie that's obviously going to hit some sort of like power struggle storyline, and I'd like to see that end with Triple H winning, so he can formally be, the on-face person who owns WWE, and then maybe Stephanie can, be a Divas person who will like run and build and foster this Divas division. And then basically, as that storyline ends and Triple H starts his, thank you WWE Universe, and you always believed in me, and I'm here for you, and Mr. McMahon is forever gone, and I will now lead us into a new era. That's when Dean Ambrose comes out and says, you fought these two for control, you never fought me. And then he's basically making a play to control the company.
Oh, wow. That's
it's good. That's really ambitious of you.
No, I know. And it's not going to happen. No. But,
I'm thinking, the way I kind of see it happening is, like you said, their whole thing for, just, like the Hounds of Justice, they have a very, like a mantra almost that's their belief system. And I see, like, basically one of them maybe stepping on a line and doing something that's against what they usually do, like just in the heat of the moment, and then that kind of creates a divide. Which is kind of Nexus-y, kind of, because, there was kind of a split, especially whenever they were starting to ease out Wade Barrett.
Would you like him to go to SmackDown and make the cooler? So it's not technically the core, but it's the core.
Because in the core,
they're all equals.
Apparently, they're all equals. I don't know.
Can't you see pouty Roman Reigns? I'm gonna go make a group where everybody's equal.
The Hodor of the Shield, like you famously said a few weeks ago.
The what?
The Hodor of the Shield.
Yes.
He's an intelligent man who can say a lot more words than just Hodor. He says believe in the Shield. A lot.
Believe.
So his name is Believe in the Shield.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know. Like, it's one of the things I really just haven't bothered to think about how they're going to break up. I'm assuming it's probably going to end up like what I said. Someone's going to kind of step out of line, and
yeah.
Or if just Dean Ambrose kind of continues, building his singles career, even though he's part of the Shield kind of thing, and then he just, gets a little bit too arrogant for the rest of them or something like that.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
no giant power struggle against Triple H like what you said, but...
Well,
Come on.
That's, I would like to see... I would like to see the invasion, basically, the ECW, or the WCW Shane McMahon versus Vince thing play out with an end in mind. That's kind of what I was, fantasy booking. Is
right.
Dean Ambrose has, and he pulls together a ragtag, and basically is going to fix WWE with his fists.
All right.
That's actually kind of nice. I like that.
Yeah.
It's also what I wanted for Punk and Heyman when Punk was a heel, that Heyman would put together a group and, do the same thing. It's a storyline that I dream of and then just put in new wrestlers every now and then.
You never know. Creative could be listening.
We did.
We assume that they are at all times.
Excuse me.
So,
well, I mean that whole Triple H Dean Ambrose power struggle kind of blows any other fantasy booking out of the water. I actually really like that, but I kind of see a Triple H Batista thing potentially happening with Roman Reigns and Ambrose, where Reigns will eventually become a face because faces don't necessarily have to talk too much.
Yeah.
And
the whole thumbs up, thumbs down thing.
Yeah, basically pull a Zangief from Street Fighter, and and obviously Ambrose would get the better of him and continue to shoot up the ladder with the in a singles run. I mean, I hope that he eventually gets the World Heavyweight title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because right now I'm, super high on all three of these guys, I don't want any of them to... And that's the fear of the eventual breakup that will happen, is that somebody will, fall through the cracks. Somebody's going to be the Mason Ryan of the group.
Oh, I can almost guarantee you that Seth Rollins will, if anyone is to do that, Seth Rollins will be the one, because, Ambrose is obviously the golden child, and Roman Reigns is like Vince's fantasy 300-pound guy that he likes to push.
Yeah.
That is not a euphemism.
So was Mason Ryan, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
They tried a couple times with him. And
Yeah.
Didn't go anywhere.
There's he's a heel. Okay, no, he's a face. Okay, never mind. We're sorry.
Yeah, we'll
We'll put this action figure away.
We'll tuck him away in NXT. Don't worry. Yeah.
So,
Fair enough.
So moving on, unless everybody has any more
I'm good.
epic
No, we're
things to reveal. What we like to do when we have guests on, especially when it's their first time being a guest on Classic Ring Attire, is to kind of go through their wrestling story, get a feel of
What got him into it, and what's kind of sustained them in wrestling this long. So, Jonah, how'd you get started in wrestling?
earliest wrestling memories.
This might date me a little bit, but when I was 5, I remember my first memory of wrestling was the Undertaker beating Hulk Hogan for the title, his first time around, and basically ever since then I've been a diehard Undertaker fan. Now, given I've also been an objective Undertaker fan, and I know there have been a lot of matches that the Undertaker that they've booked him in were in the ring. It didn't necessarily work well. Obviously, what was that one? What was his first WWE title match? Psycho Sid?
I think so.
Oh, sorry, the WrestleMania match. His first WWE title match with WrestleMania. On WrestleMania was with Psycho Sid, and that was just horrendous. I think that was Psycho Sid.
Yeah.
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 So yeah, some of those earlier WrestleMania matches weren't really all that.
Before they knew that the streak was a thing that they had to care about.
What was the guy in the big skin tight bodysuit?
Oh
No, I
God.
don't remember. I know what you're talking about. So,
Yeah, but I remember that one was really bad.
Yeah, I mean, like, but in any case, I was definitely still a huge diehard Undertaker fan. Like,
Right.
I dressed in all black before goth was a thing, you know, and it's based on this. Actually, one of the top 5 people that I want to meet before I die is Mark Calloway.
Right.
So,
okay, then I have a question for you. Has there ever been a build-up to WrestleMania where you genuinely thought the streak might be in jeopardy, / you would have been okay if that was the match where he lost the streak?
I will be honest with you.
Please do.
Before the streak was a thing, it was always like I thought the A Train and the Big Show match was kind of, you know, iffy, because you know, 2 big guys, and you know,
Yeah.
I didn't think Nathan, what's his name? Oh, I'm pulling back.
Yeah.
Nathan something or other. You know, I didn't think he was going to be a big enough ally to actually counter the odds, but that was kind of nice. The only other time I thought it was going to be in jeopardy was with Triple H. First time when they fought.
Okay.
Yeah, not these recent times. I mean, I think that was, you know, anyone.
Oh, at 17?
Yeah, I mean, like I think anyone after WrestleMania 20, if anyone thought that the streak was going to end, I think was kind of a little bit hopeful, because I think that's just
Yeah.
one of those things where, you know, he's been with the company for so long. The fact that the streak is intact is something that people actually pay to see. You know,
Right.
So and this too. I thought Triple H might have ended it. I thought CM Punk had a chance to end it. During those points, I kind of was like, you know, maybe, but probably not, just because they might be retirement angles. You know, but I like Triple H. I have no hate for Triple H, as most people might have. Most wrestling fans probably do have. I don't have a problem with him at all. I like him when he wrestles. I think he's fine on the mic. He's actually one of my favorites, because he's very passionate about the business. But if either him or Punk would have ended his streak, I would have had a personal grudge against them for a very, very long time.
Is that just because of the storyline, or just because they would have been the ones to just beat him? Like, you just had a grudge against whoever eventually would have beaten him.
I mean, it's the only kayfabe part of me that I keep, like that I keep. You know, ironically, it's with the most kayfabe wrestler that you could probably think of. But yeah, I just don't think that streak should be broken. I think it needs to be intact. I mean, I can't imagine anyone else who has wrestled for this long where people actually still like the guy. Like, Hogan and Flair, I think people are sick of. Yeah, there's a respect for Flair, but at the same time, you know, after what he did going to TNA, a lot of that respect has been lessened. You know, the Woo chants notwithstanding. But
I think there's an appreciation for those guys, if not respect.
Yeah.
I hate
But
Hulk.
that's pretty much where it stops.
Well, I hate Hulk Hogan. I'm not gonna lie. I have no ounce of respect or anything towards Hulk Hogan. That guy's.
I'm pretty much right there with you, I think.
I mean, Hogan. When I didn't know what wrestling was, I still knew what Hogan was. Mm-hmm. I think Hogan has done so much for the sport of wrestling, so much for the, you know, art of wrestling, just in raising awareness of it, be it good awareness or bad awareness. You just, you know, on a national level, he was the kind of the first guy that, you know, you could walk into.
It's just the way he's handled everything since. It's just kind of left of.
I think that was an inadvertent side effect. I think his main goal was just to make as much money as possible. I think.
I'm sure it was.
So, like, in all honesty, even though he did bring a lot of attention to it, he's the worst wrestler I've ever seen in my life. I've never enjoyed any of his matches, unless, of course, the Undertaker put a tombstone on him. That was fantastic. I'd love that. But, you know, it just I don't like the guy. He never did anything for me, and I think, like, generally Hogan fans translate into Cena fans, and I have no ill will towards Cena except for the fact that he needs to change his character. But Hogan is just a horrible person. And, well, I can't judge his character. I mean, but he's one of the reasons why he represents everything that I don't like about wrestling. Like, I continued watching wrestling throughout the Attitude Era. Obviously, I think we all did. I think we were all really hooked on that. But like when Hogan came back, I stopped watching for 2 years. Like, I literally just stopped. And
when he came, we were just talking about when he came back to WWE.
Pass the torch.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like, the only reason I started watching again is when I heard that he was actually losing a lot. And then I was like, okay, well, maybe, he's, when Lesnar started beating him, and then everybody started beating him left and right, and that was fine. And then I started watching again, and that was fine, but then he kept coming back and becoming, like, Mr. America, or, which made me hate him even more because he incited USA chants.
Yeah. Fair enough.
But yeah, basically that's been my introduction to wrestling. I've always watched wrestling ever since then. I've enjoyed, is this going to be unpopular to say one of my favorite wrestlers is Chris Benoit?
Yeah, I mean,
it's not unpopular. Like, it's fine. I mean, you're definitely. I mean, there's definitely quite a few people that share that with you, and and it happens. The people who liked him aren't responsible for what he ended up doing, so it's fine. Yeah.
So, I mean, like, I really liked Chris Benoit. I don't like a lot of his particular actions that he did, but his wrestling, his matches were always incredible. One of the reasons why I stuck around with wrestling through the early 2000s into the mid was because of Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero. The two of them were just like, they were putting on a show, and whatever Chris Benoit lacked in personality, Eddie Guerrero made for in spades. In fact, I'll go as far and be unbiased. Even though Undertaker is my favorite wrestler, I think there is yet to be a performer to top Eddie Guerrero outside of Shawn Michaels. Like,
performance-wise, yeah.
Like, he had the charisma, he had everything. Like, he was just really, really awesome.
That's one of the things, because I kind of took a break in wrestling and missed pretty much the bulk of Eddie Guerrero. And, like, that's probably the biggest... I don't know if it's a regret, because, whatever, but, like...
But it's one of those things
I can definitely go back and watch it, and it's fine, but,
Yeah, it's one of those things where you don't know how you would have felt because you weren't watching it.
Right.
So you don't know if
I go into it knowing
time,
that it's supposed to be the greatest thing,
Yeah,
of course.
Based on everyone else's opinion.
It's like, I just got around to watching Lost, like, last year. I'm like, you guys... Guess what happened on Lost in episode 3?
It's like, yeah, we know. We knew this a long time ago. Yeah.
Oh, wait. Did anyone spoil the ending for you?
Pop culture has mostly spoiled it. Like, I still blah, 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 fingers in ears when, people talk about Lost. I'm still going through it. But, I have a vague knowledge of what happened towards the end. I have seen that final scene because it pops up on, like,
of course,
this year in television.
Yeah.
Things. So I don't have a lot of context for the ending, so I'm still trying to, like, keep away from that.
But to be fair, if you haven't watched it and you never even started watching it before the show ended, and it's been a few years, it's going to get spoiled.
Yeah.
It's really only that's your own fault.
It sucks, unless somebody, like, came up and grabbed me by the shoulders and shouted the ending at me.
Right.
Like, then it's their fault. But, like, no.
I feel the same way with Game of Thrones. In this day and age, with the internet, at least you could find some time within a week to watch the latest episode if you watch it week to week.
That's true.
You could find it. So, like, if I'm talking about the Red Wedding and it's like a week after that episode aired, then it's on you. I don't have to say spoiler alert before every single sentence.
I don't know. I mean, I go out of my way not to spoil it for people. Partially, you can't watch every show. So, part of it sucks. There's too many shows, and there's too much stuff to get spoiled. So you're going to get spoiled on some show or some movie at some point because there's too much. You can't watch it all. You can't know it all. And then, especially if there is a very large twist, a very sudden moment of, did you see? I will make special consideration of, like, you've seen this part, right? You've seen up through this amount. So we can talk about, this. If it's like, oh, there's a bear in that one episode. It was mean. So what? But, it's, again, I don't begrudge people for thinking it's okay to talk about Lost in front of me because...
Right, yeah. Enough time has passed.
Yeah, enough time has passed. It's on me. So, I live with that. So, then I guess the next question is, The Undertaker kind of has carried you through. You took a break during Hogan. Is there anything that has... I'm assuming, like most wrestling fans, you've kind of dealt with a, don't you know wrestling's fake? Why do you watch that kind of thing? Has there been something that's like you point to when or do you try to defend it? You kind of like laugh it off. People either get it or they don't, kind of thing.
No, I mean,
different reactions for different people.
Yeah, I always knew it was fake. That never bothered me. I mean, you guys actually being part of the film department at UNCG. I don't know if we mentioned this on camera, but Joel and Chris actually, for you viewers or listeners, excuse me, Joel and Chris are going to the same college and the same department that I'm 3 or 4 year alum of now. But being it never occurred to me, particularly someone who has been into screenwriting most of all his life, that it was a bad thing that it was fake. Like, I figured it was just scripted, and it was just like, oh, okay, well, every other show is scripted, so that's not gonna, like, I'm not gonna stop watching a television, like, I'm not gonna stop watching Dexter because I oh my god, there's really not a good serial killer out in Florida. I'm not necessarily like gonna stop watching wrestling just because it's scripted. I mean, to be honest with you, it's still better than half the shows that are known to be scripted. I mean. Yeah. Most of the reality shows are still second rate compared to wrestling. And I'm not saying that wrestling is like, oh my god, like all the time top grade writing or top grade performing. But, if people if people enjoy Honey Boo Boo, and obviously a lot of that is scripted as well, there's really no need to defend us as wrestling fans. There's really no need to defend ourselves and from people who think, oh, wrestling's fake. Because, I mean, obviously... those people have a lot of self-awareness to get to.
No.
Right. Yeah, that's a good answer. I should probably use that instead of just getting in arguments.
I mean, there's some people I'm like, nope, never gonna convince you, we're not gonna talk about this.
Yeah.
And some people I'm like, I'll have other friends I'm like, you would like it, you really would. Like, if I could convince you to, sit down, and then I'll have like my 3 or 4 matches that I'm like, if you can sit through these matches and like, if you're not invested at this point, you're not.
Because that was really, because that angle basically is what I took to get you interested in wrestling. Because I told you about a storyline that was going on that triggered something that you remembered from years before.
Like, there's
and then basically it was like, you need to watch it. It'll be fun. You'll like it. And you're open minded enough to actually sit down. Originally, you were just going to watch the segments that had to deal with what interested you, but then I started showing you other stuff, and next thing you know, we were hooked, and then we got all of our other friends basically the same way.
Yeah. I
got my wife took on to wrestling with a storyline, to be completely honest with you. A recent one, the Punk and Triple H angle that they had about a year or so ago. We would she would sit down because I sat down every week and watched Grey's Anatomy with her. Not that I watch. Shoot, did I just reveal? Anyway,
I'll admit it. I've seen every episode of Grey's Anatomy. You could spoil me all you want on Grey's Anatomy. I know what's going on.
I have no desire to
I know who's dead on Grey's Anatomy.
But she was watching it during the summer of Punk, which I think was great. That was a great time to actually get involved.
Oh yeah.
But we would sit down and we would actually argue over the storyline. We wouldn't argue. We would debate over the storylines because she would take Triple H's side. She's kind of high in the corporate world, and she would take Triple H's side and be like, well, he's got to do what's best for the business, and I would be like, no, rebel, revolt, quarter life crisis, go for CM Punk. And she still watches it up to today. She also hates Sheamus. But
Very
A keeper?
very much a keeper.
But generally, if people would actually sit down and watch some of the storylines, the better storylines that come out of professional wrestling, I think they would actually get a little hooked on it.
Well, that's I really wish that WWE would make storyline packaged DVDs.
That would be good.
That's a really good idea.
This is they put out a Summer of Punk thing, and it starts, here's, maybe 2 or 3 things from Punk's, demise with, the demise of Straight Edge Society, getting hurt, blah, blah. And then you do that promo, then you do, the next 3 promos, and you end it with...
just hit all the key points, essentially,
Basically, you take what is, their biggest asset, which is the video packages that recap a month's worth of storyline, and kind of stretch that out to a full DVD.
Definitely doable.
I would. Yeah.
And it's and what you were saying, Jonah, it's kind of harkens back to what we've been seeing lately. Anyone who's been following us on Twitter knows that every Monday night now we watch it. We watch Raw over at Geeksboro Coffee House and Cinema. Nice little plug there. And our audience there is basically just blown up. But then there'll always be some people who are just regular patrons of the coffee house that come in. They look up at the screen. They kind of have somewhat of a snarky little scoff at it. And then next thing you know, you kind of look behind you, and they're sitting on one of the tables, behind you, just full on watching it. And they'll either laugh at it or seem kind of intrigued, but either way, they're watching it. So I think like what you're saying in a lot of cases that if you just watch it, odds are you'll find something that you like, or you'll dislike it enough to where you're like, oh, I can't believe they're doing that, and then you'll watch it again just to see how it ends, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what it takes. It takes maybe a month of, being around it on a weekly basis. Yeah. And at that point, it's because it's a soap opera.
Of course.
I remember my dad he worked, he's a school teacher, and so, the week after, the first week of summer, after all y'all got to go play and have fun, I still had to go to school because Dad had to go to school. So, because he had to, do end of the year meetings and packing up classrooms and stuff.
Of course.
So, I would just bring videos and watch videos all day. And I could do that except from 3 to 4 because Young and the Restless was on, and the teacher that Dad worked with had to watch Young and the Restless. And so, in that one, I remember it was just 1 year, but in 1 week,
Joel, you can admit it that you like Young and the Restless. That teacher was really you.
No, because I'm saying in
this is
1
a
week,
safe zone.
the first, because it's
Chris, you're giving
5.
Pat more ammunition. You need to.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Then I shouldn't bring up that we both have seen every episode of Gossip Girl.
Gossip Girl, best show.
Gossip Girl is such a good show.
It actually isn't a badly written show. It's a pretty well written show.
Yeah.
See, that's one more on the train.
Here we go.
But go on.
But my point is, I saw these 5 episodes of Young and the Restless, and by the end, by Thursday, Friday, I didn't know anybody's names, but I knew that Red Dress Girl was mad at Blue Dress Girl, and that, this showdown was coming, and I wanted to know what happened over Mysterious Smoke Man. So, it's storytelling designed to draw you in. Yeah. So it will.
Yeah, I mean,
it just.
I actually did kind of I double majored in film and sociology when I was at UNCG. So as a personal.
Sounds smart.
I'm sorry?
I said that sounded like a smart idea. Should have done that.
yeah, we should have. Oh well.
Well, you guys will catch on. Don't worry. 6 or 7 years after getting a leisure degree, it's generally what happens. But I did a kind of an interesting little not a study, but just kind of a mental note thing. But the casual fans that kind of catch wrestling,
Yeah.
the one guy that generally tends to bring them in is Triple H. Like, the thing that'll get them, like, stopping what they're doing and watching is a Triple H promo. And I'm not talking about, like, grunty 2001 Triple H, but, like, after kind of Evolution, past Evolution Triple H, when he just started cutting kind of more natural promos.
Right.
I guess he's more relatable to a lot of the casual fans. I don't know if that means most casual fans are kind of just douchebags. But not to say that I'm not a douchebag myself, because I enjoy Triple H's promos as well. But yeah, it's really interesting. He's always the guy. Him or Punk are the two guys that tend to rope people in.
I think part of that might be because there's just a thing of like Triple H. I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Because like when I got back into it, during when Bret Hart came back, and when Chris was watching in the room, and Bret Hart came out. I'm like, Bret Hart's never going to be on WWE television. What is going on?
And then I had to sit there and explain it all.
Be like, oh, the screw job continued past '97, basically.
Of course.
There's other stuff because I only knew about that.
What happened, and then okay, it's over.
Yeah. So when I'm sitting there and I'm like, it's like, here's R-Truth. Never heard of that. Here's Kofi Kingston. I don't know what that is. Here's Triple H. I know that guy. Hooray! And I'm sitting here being like, is the Goldberg thing going to happen? Is that still a thing?
And I was just like, oh, Joel.
No.
Oh, Joel. No, not at all.
I know that name. I know Raven, right?
Yeah.
Raven's a thing.
And where's the Undertaker? It's July. He should be here, right?
It wasn't. It actually was Road to WrestleMania because.
Yeah, that's right.
That was Sean's retirement angle.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Then I had to catch you up on that. Yeah,
I do remember just being like genuinely confused when like Teddy Long came out, and it was like because it was very rare to see Teddy Long on Raw.
Yeah.
Back then he was there, trying to get Shawn Michaels to come over, and I remember like, who is this guy? He does not look like he can carry himself in the ring. Why are we excited about him? So, but yeah, so I think there is some of this just like, I know that name. I've heard it in the real world.
Well, I think it's that, and also a lot of Triple H's promos and maybe his booking also is like they're really natural. They're not necessarily really gimmicky. Like obviously the DX thing was gimmicky, but just his storylines and whatnot are a lot more, and his promos are just a lot more like normal people-ish. Just like Punk's is, like it just kind of rolls off the tongue. Whereas if you compare him to The Rock, and The Rock obviously is the greatest promo guy, or one of the greatest promo guys ever, but you could tell that it's an angle with The Rock. Like that's he personifies sports entertainment. So when you watch him, it's like, oh yeah, it's The Rock, catchphrases and whatnot, and they're good. But people like the casual fans tend to go over to like Triple H or CM Punk more just because they're just like normal guys talking and they're just charismatic.
They talk like a human being and they don't refer to themselves as in third person.
The Rock knows his lines. Yeah. CM Punk knows what he's going to say.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
And so
we don't need a bingo card for when CM Punk comes out and shoot a promo.
I don't know. You might have to start doing it. Best is going to be the free space.
No, like I said on Twitter, best, whenever it's said, that means CM Punk is released out of his genie bottle. So there you go.
It's like Beetlejuice.
Yes.
It's like best. Oh, CM Punk.
Somebody get that Living Colors CD out.
Oh wow!
All right. Anyway, next up, that's completely everything we have to do on the podcast, and there's nothing left at all.
I think
whatsoever.
that's incorrect, Joel. I think there's something else. Don't you think that there's something else, Jonah?
I think we might have one more thing left.
What is it, Joel?
It's the mailbox.
That's right, it's time for the mail sack! Mail sack, why is there hair in this mail sack? Mail sack, let's all go inside. Mail sack, why is there hair in this mail sack? Mail sack, it's all go inside. So, as you might have noticed, there's a new theme song now that Jonah has just masterfully put together for us. And it might be my new favorite thing of all time because I love it so much and I've listened to it like 25 times since. Well, when was it? It was what, Sunday? When you sent that to
it
me?
wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, I've listened to it so many times. It's on my phone forever.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm actually I'm doing an independent film score for a film. I'm trying to put together a mixtape, and between all of that, I've listened to the Mail Sack theme song more times than anything else I've done in the past couple of days.
I love it so much. So yeah, all that for basically one piece of mail. And it comes from our buddy Blair. He sent this on Twitter, but you could follow him at BD Inside Pulse. He's asking us, how do we pick the musical interlude for the show, or do we have a live orchestra behind you? Last time I checked, I couldn't fit an orchestra in my apartment.
I don't know. We're on Skype. I can see the 16 guys you have behind you. That's
Jonah.
also not a euphemism.
You're breaking K-Fab!
You're breaking K-Fab. Actually, the serious answer is, I was kind of a band geek in middle school and high school, so I have all these CDs of all of these classical musicians. I have like the entire Chopin collection, Mozart, Beethoven. Basically, I gave them all I let Joel just put them all on his computer, because basically they're public domain, and we can get away with playing it. So there's the serious answer.
Yeah, most of it comes from Chris. Occasionally, there's a few things that iTunes labels classical music. So I just type in classical music because that's the genre, and then pick one of those songs for the week. There's a few things that iTunes has labeled classical that is not at all
I
classical.
noticed one, I think it was last week, because I was going through it and putting together the YouTube file. And was it just me, or was that the Looney Tunes?
That's totally the Looney Tunes.
Okay, that was okay. I knew that sounded like the Looney Tunes. Okay,
That was actually one of my favorites.
Thank you. And since we're referring to Blair, he did want us to mention something for him. He's doing his summer of interactivity on Inside Pulse. Basically, it's where he takes all of his comments and he basically builds a column out of it. He'll talk about your comment and everything that you want to talk about, and he might make fun of you a little bit. All in good fun. So if you want to join in, absolutely go to wrestling.insidepulse.com and find his call for submissions.
Yes.
So, there you go.
I think that's it for us, is it?
That's it for me. Jonah, is there anything that you wanted to plug?
I'll plug just a couple of things.
Okay.
One, I want to plug wrestling.insidepulse.com one more time. Honestly, for all of you listeners out there, it is one of the better, if not, it's my personal favorite. That's why I wanted to write for it. It's my personal.
Same here, absolutely.
It's my personal favorite wrestling site when it comes to articles, news, etc. We have some of the most talented columnists in the community there. The two gentlemen that have so graciously invited me to the podcast. Mr. Sanders and Mr. Joel. Mr. Leonard.
Joel Anonymous.
Joel X.
So, Joel and Chris are really, really awesome. Definitely catch their columns there, along with all the columns there. I know I haven't written for Pulse in a while.
I miss Q's Recall.
I'm gonna start doing Q's Recall again because
yes,
I've been sampling a lot recently, and instead of doing like little cheesy beats, I'm actually gonna start using the Jim Johnson versions of the songs, and so
fantastic.
But no, it is a very, very fantastic site. Please go check it out. Other things that I'm going to plug. I think you might have noticed I kind of do some music stuff on the side. So I have a mixtape coming out that samples a lot of music outside of Not just a lot of music like MGMT, Madonna, etc. Actually, one of my mixtapes that has come out, Road to Market, has a CM Punk sample with his promo in there.
Oh.
So if you want to check out some of that stuff, it's on my website, www.jonahq.com, JONAHKUE.com. Outside of that, let's plug this podcast. This podcast, Classy Ring Attire. Best podcast I've heard in a long time. Ever since the Mango died, which I miss that. I miss Grutt. I miss. Grutt was definitely one of my favorite columnists outside of the New Breed, us obviously. But ever since the Mango died, I have felt a very large hole in my heart, and Classy Ring Attire has definitely filled it.
Well, we are so glad to fill your holes.
I am too. It's rather enjoyable. No, go ahead.
How you doing, Joel?
It's risky. Joel's the one that gets the emails, and iTunes is like, this should have had an explicit tag on it.
I never see those emails. I don't care.
All right. As always, you can follow us at CR Attire on Twitter. Every Monday, appropriate Sundays, we'll be live tweeting up a storm.
Oh, yeah. And if you have any questions, comments, anything you want us to talk about here on the show, anything for the mail sack, you tell us that we're doing a great job. Or you can be like our best friend Pat and just completely rip into us. As you'll see, we will talk about this stuff. So you can send that to our email account. That is classyringattire@gmail.com.
Fill that
And
sack.
I want to...
Fill up the sack.
Yeah, I want to throw out to Pat or anybody who would like to stand in for Pat. I genuinely, in all honesty, would love to hear a solid, well thought out defense of Sheamus.
Absolutely,
we do nothing but be mean to the guy on this podcast. So if you can give that for us, we'll totally have you on in some manner of capacity. I would love to.
If you're brave enough to defend Sheamus, we will respect that and have you on this podcast.
Now it has to it has to be solid and well thought out. So you can't say that he has good mic skills, and you can't say that he's good on the ring. I mean, it's just not going to work. It's not going to be solid or well thought out.
So, but no, I genuinely want that invite out there because apparently I like talking about Sheamus.
It's been a solid month now, dude.
I know, right? Jeez,
something struck with you.
Oh man, where are we in the plugs?
Oh,
we are also on iTunes, so find us on iTunes. Click the subscribe button. You get episodes coming to you every single time. You could also give us a review there, which would be nice. Maybe a rating of
5 stars.
That would be nice as well.
Yeah. And if you are listening to this on the beloved wrestling.insidepulse.com, leave us a comment on there. We'd love to hear from you. And while you're there, like Jonah was saying, go check out everything. Just whether it's TNA, WWE, or any of the other wrestling promotions that they cover them all. So absolutely, there's you can spend a lot of time on this website. So go do that.
All right. Until next time, stay classy. And huzzah.
Huzzah.
Huzzah.